This is on The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. On December 7th, 2059, Emilio Sandoz was released from the isolation ward of Salvatore Mundi Hospital in the middle of the night and transported in a bread van to the Jesuit residence at number 5 Borgo Santo Spirito, a few minutes' walk across St. Peter's Square from the Vatican. The next day, ignoring shouted questions and howls of journalistic outrage as he read, a Jesuit spokesman issued a short statement to the frustrated and angry media mob that had gathered outside number 5's massive front door. To the best of our knowledge, Father Emilio Sandoz is the sole survivor of the Jesuit mission to Rakat. Once again, we extend our thanks to the UN, to the Contact Consortium, and to the Asteroid Mining Division of the Obayashi Corporation for making the return of Father Sandoz possible. We have no additional information regarding the fate of the Contact Consortium's crew members. They are in our prayers. Father Sandoz is too ill to answer questions at this time, and his recovery is expected to take months. Until then, there can be no further comment on the Jesuit mission or to the Contact Consortium's allegations regarding Father Sandoz's conduct on Rakat. This was simply to buy time. Again, this is The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. I'm not giving anything away by talking about that was the first page of chapter 1, and so a little history behind this. I was on vacation one year, and I went into a Walden Books. Ask your grandparents what that is. It's kind of like a Books a Million or a Barnes and Noble, but a smaller version in a mall. Malls which are now destitute things with people pushing shopping carts through. Anyway, I was in this store, and the only person working there was an old gentleman, and he saw me looking in the science fiction section, and he came over to me and said, I've been reading science fiction since it came out, and because he was rather old, and he said, I want to tell you about this book called The Sparrow. It's my favorite book that I've ever read in science fiction. And he showed me where it was. It was actually in the literature section instead of the science fiction because it was considered literary. They do that occasionally with companies when they decide to try to hide something that science fiction is something else because they're embarrassed for some reason, because I love science fiction and so should you. Anyway, I thought, what the heck? I was looking to buy something and I wasn't sure what, so I picked it up and I read it and I really, really enjoyed it. And this was probably about 22 years ago. I can't believe the book is that old. I read it, I loved it. It's a first contact story about a mission to another planet where we've received radio signals from and use it to determine where the planet is and start a mission that is headed by a Jesuit priest named Emilio Sandoz, which I read about in the intro there. It's a story about his faith, but it's not overly religious or preachy, which is good because I don't like that stuff. It's just really about his determination and his amazing ability with languages and people. And he heads up this mission. It's a character journey for him and for the other characters, but the journey takes place in two timelines. One of the actual mission of First Contact itself, and the other timeline in it is his return and facing the questions of what happened there and what went wrong. It's kind of funny. The beginning of the mission starts in 2019 because this was published in like 96. Um, so I think she was a little bit too optimistic about what kind of technology we would have in 2019, but um, uh, it still comes off as being, totally possible. Um, it's also a story about family, uh, people that are brought together by circumstance and that end up becoming a family, even though most of the individuals lack one of their own. They take time to get to know each other, and you get to know them as we go through the book. And it is, you feel like you're part of their family too. It's very well written. The characters are very well fleshed out, and you really just get a feeling of who these characters are all throughout the book. They each find the family they need when they need it, and there's some interesting interaction between the characters in terms of how they become a family, essentially. You know the outcome from the beginning, that there's only supposedly Father Sandoz as the survivor of a mission. You're not sure at first who goes on the mission. That's revealed as the story goes along. Uh, and though, so you have this kind of hanging over you the whole time, thinking, okay, if he's the only person that comes back, what happened to the other people? Um, the last part of the book is brutal emotionally when you do find out what happened to the other people. Uh, because again, you've come to accept them as your family. It's sudden and frightening, and it really just, the situation devolves very quickly towards the end of the book. And you're left stunned somewhat by what all happens and how it comes out, and it plays out both in the timeline for the mission itself and in the timeline where Father Sandoz is being questioned by other members of the Jesuit church. Is it the best science fiction I've ever read? Possibly. Uh, I've read a lot of books and I really enjoy a lot of books. So I can't say that it's my absolute favorite, but it is very, very much worth your time reading. You'll notice I'm consulting notes here. I wanted to make sure I hit all the points. I'm not as good as some people like Michael K. Vaughan, who can get on and just kind of wing it, which he does very well. Uh, you're left with one man who went through unimaginable circumstances, and you're left at the end with the how and why he came out of it. And you're left with his journey, and is it complete or not? And what did he really gain from his faith in this mission? The reader kind of makes the final judgment on that. The book does have a sequel called Children of God. I enjoyed this so much that I put off reading the sequel because I knew it was going to be the only sequel they did to this. And 22 years later, I still haven't read it. So you can look forward to that coming up on this channel sometime in the possibly near future. I plan on getting to it finally because it continues the story of Father Sandoz and a return mission to Rakat. And I'm looking forward to reading it. Something else is she also has a clever method of space travel, and it seems legitimate, but she doesn't focus too much on the science of it. There is some science in here, and what it is does make sense. And what you really learn is what kind of consequences there are in a first contact mission when you're not sure um, what to do when you make first contact, and how difficult that is with an alien species, and how it's unlike meeting a new group on Earth back when Earth was unexplored, and people would uh, come into new cultures with new languages. Father Sandoz is a linguist, which is why he's in charge, well, not in charge of the mission, but the main character for the mission. And it shows what happens when misunderstandings and things that seem like a simple, something you wouldn't even think about causing a problem ends up causing a problem. And so, anyway, I highly, highly recommend this book, The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. It's a very good book. It's in print. You can get it on Kindle, I'm sure. Uh, it's very much worth your time, and you'll leave feeling with mixed emotions when you finish the book. Because, like I said, it is a very difficult emotionally towards the end, and I think you'll like it. So this has been the end of my first video. I hope to make many more. I hope to make maybe one a week. I'm not as prolific as some other people in terms of video. I come to you from the heap, which you can see somewhat of behind me in my room. I have stacks of books all over the floor, on shelves, pretty much everywhere. You'll just have to imagine what the rest of it looks like. Whatever you're thinking, it's actually worse. So, thank you for uh, checking this out, and I hope that you'll read The Sparrow, and I hope to see you again soon.